Okay, it's 4 o'clock. We have the Office for the Aging on first. Just to bring you up to date, basically on Monday night we had the presentation by the budget officer who's presented the tentative budget. Tentative budget, if there were no changes and there was no adoption, it becomes the annual budget for the county. So what we've done is the Finance Committee has 20 days to review the tentative budget, and that's why we have you here, and to make our recommendations for the full board. Now, the actual adoption date for the budget is December 20th, is the latest. So this is just a preliminary on it. So if you want to introduce yourself to the members that are here at this point,
Sure.
and then come on up to the dais and come up to the rail and give us a presentation.
All right. My name's Dave Jordan. I'm the Executive Director with the Office for Aging. I was back here several months ago when I first started. I started with the agency in December. A couple things. I have a couple of reports that I had put in the packet, but I don't know if you guys got that I sent to Sean. If not, I'll just give them a copy of. One is just our revenues and expenses. Kind of lists each program, and also how much last fiscal year we used out of Montgomery County money. And I also have.
Is that in the backup? It's in the backup, isn't it?
I believe it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
If you have your backup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, many members don't bring their.
Okay. Not a big deal. Well, the first thing I want to say is clearly we're here. Our request was for $220,000, which is a little up from last year. There's some things that have changed. Some things have stayed the same, unfortunately. One of the things is our funding. We actually looked back. Again, I'm fairly new. Jason, our business manager, went back to look at 08. Since 08, our state funding has gone down 35,000, and our federal funding has gone down 12,000. And it does take a rocket scientist to figure out, here we are, 5 years later, 6 years later, our funding's gone down. We have over 23% of our population is seniors. They come and request services. We're trying to give them the services that they're requesting. If we don't have the funding to do that, it's difficult, if not impossible. We do have wait lists for many of our for some of our programs. The two biggest ones are our meals program and our ISIP, which is our case management program, our in-home care. That one's about 50, and the meals is over 100. It's about 105 last count. We've tried to take steps as an agency to cut our costs, knowing that there's not a windfall coming anytime soon from the state or the federal government. In fact, the federal government isn't working right now. So, and one of the things we did was we've cut personnel. Since 08, we've cut our personnel by about 17%, which is about $70,000. But with the budgets the way they are and the funding not coming in, again, from 08 to now, things have gone up in price. Our meals program, we work with Trinity Services. We've only worked with them for about a year and a half. No, it's been about a year actually. They've been good to negotiate with us and try to keep the meal price the same, because if that meal price goes up, that's less people we can serve. So we're right now just going to start negotiating with them for next year again. But from 08, the meal price has gone up almost $1. That's $1 per meal. I believe we served in the neighborhood of 70,000 meals in the last fiscal year. You do the math, that's a lot of meals that didn't get served because of the change in the price. And also our ISIP, which is the in-home care and respite services for caregiver, they've gone up $2 an hour. And that's $2 an hour for every hour that we do. Again, do the math, it's a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. So we try to take the funds that we get. The county we use as match to access the state and federal, which I'm sure you guys probably know this. It's vitally important to us. If we don't get that, we're not doing services. We just don't have, we aren't going to be able to access those funds. We need a 25% match for the state funds and a 10% match for the federal funds. So in a nutshell, that's kind of where we're at. You can see in this outline, it goes through each of our programs, The ones that have numbers and letters, those are the federal programs. The ones that are just letters are state programs. So again, federal, we need a 10% match. So you see under, here's an example, under 3C1, which is our congregate meal program. We have 4 congregate sites throughout the county. We used $53,000 from Montgomery County as matching funds for that. Yep.
Can I speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
A couple of questions on the meals. When I went down last year and discussed this, I believe Mrs. Broyles was there?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
On the meals, because that's what I'm concerned with, is somebody has at least some food to eat.
Yeah.
How many people right now are on a waiting list?
I believe last count was around 105. It changes day to day. We get calls, other people drop off. We try to manage them with other, I think I explained this on your phone, we try to manage other avenues. We try to get as many family members or people in their lives that can at least assist them in some way. We've had caregivers go in, caregiver respite go in and assist them, maybe cook a meal for a few days at a time. We try to do what we can with the services we have.
How long of some of these people would you assume been waiting?
There's some that have been on there a while. I don't have Sharon's our nutrition program manager. I want to say there's people who've been on there over a year. Yes. I would imagine. Because I know sometimes when we call them, either they've already fixed it on their own. Unfortunately, sometimes they've been placed. And as little as it sounds, you think, oh, they get a meal a day or a couple meals a day. How big of a deal is that? There are a lot of people that's the reason they're not in a nursing home. And I'm sure you guys have heard the difference between the little services that we do and the cost of nursing home is astronomical. So it's one of those penny wise, pound foolish.
Let's assume you needed to feed 105. What's the differential in dollars of matching, et cetera?
I mean, it'd be we're talking another $100,000
From the county?
from somewhere.
But I mean, there'd be matching, so if the county gave you X, could you get the rest?
Well, that's what we're talking about. If it was, I remember, I think right when I started, we had a wait list. It was probably around what it is now. It actually went up to over 160. It's gone down recently. We've been adding people. But again, it doesn't cost. It's $7.93 right now a meal that we're paying. That pays for the preparation of the meal, the oversight by the dietitian, delivery of the meal. All of that goes into that price. But so the 100,000, yes, it would be used towards matching, but that's what it's going to take. I would think at least minimum to pay for those people that need. And it depends on how many meals they need. Some only need it Monday through Friday. Some people get weekend meals and cold supper meals, things like that.
Okay, Michael?
For now.
Yeah. Bill?
Next year. I know the state right now is cutting your funds as well as maybe the federal government. What do you see on the horizon? Is that trend going to continue, or are they talking? Are you getting any like positive feelings out of discussions with them?
I wish I could say I was. It's one of those things. I think aging services are one of the last things they think of, to be perfectly honest. Nutrition is the one thing that we really push because they see tangible evidence when things are working. And it's the biggest. Everybody who thinks about senior services or aging services, oh, that's the Meals on Wheels program. That's the first thing they think of, and it serves the most amount of people that we serve are through that program. But I mean, I don't foresee anything on the horizon saying, oh, we're waiting for some bill to pass that's going to increase that funding. Yeah. But I mean, so it's tough. I wish I had a brighter outlook on it. I'm just trying to be realistic with that's what it is, and again, we have a population, we have baby boomers that are becoming seniors. Oh, yeah. And so this is not going to get better anytime soon. Yeah.
One other question I had is, they always used to tell us for every dollar we give OFA, you can leverage that 4 or 5 times. Is that still the case?
Yeah, depending on the program, depending on where it's used, certainly. We take that, like last year we got 210. And we used it to the max, believe me. We leveraged it as best we could to get the maximum out of it. We have we decreased our personnel. We're down to 10 staff other than myself. We used to have 15, 16 staff just a few years ago. And part of that is, we aren't doing less services. We're taking the staff that we have and they're doing multiple things. They're cross-trained in different areas. So we have somebody, who does the meals, can also maybe do the respite program, can do meals program, things like that.
So if the county were to make up that $6,000, you're basically looking at $30,000.
If it was that, yeah, I mean, definitely, as far as the actual usage of the money for the services that we're providing, yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
See, when I was here last year, and we had a meeting like this, and I was very passionate about this, and I went down and talked to everybody. See, I feel the priority is meals at least. And I think there's an obligation, if you have money in the bank, and I know I probably won't be agreed with, but I personally have no problem with taking X number of dollars out of the fund balance of something that I feel is a priority, because I know if they still have 100 on there and you had 100 last year, that's not right. And I feel an obligation to the people who built the county. I'm not making a political speech, I'm not running, but I felt passionate about this. I got to take care of sick parents, and I know how a lot of this is, and some of them just survive on a meal. It means a lot. So I personally have no problem with it. I would make a motion whenever we're going to do it to put in more money. You know, it probably won't pass. I hope it would, but I have no problem personally with doing that. I think it's an obligation.
Can you go through these, I mean, kind of your meals obviously spelled out.
Yeah.
I understand what that is.
Yeah.
Can you go through the different items
Yeah.
and explain what is in those items?
Okay.
Excuse me.
The first is 3B INA legal. We have a legal provider, Del Salmon, that we contract with. He gives us a very good rate. We use money out of 3B to pay for his services. INA is information and assistance. Anybody coming in, and that definitely is the largest portion of the people we serve. We serve almost, it was over 5,000 people last year just coming in and having a question. Oh, I can't afford groceries, how do I get food stamps? And we give them information about that, maybe assist them in completing an application. Oh, my car broke down, do you know a repair? We'll refer them to our home registry and get them, you know, fixed up with that. A lot of it's just information that we're passing on to seniors that they don't know, because there's a lot of things out there that our seniors don't know about. That's a large portion of what we do. And then home care, and that's things within our ISA program. And within our caregiver, they come in and they do some care with the individual, obviously, but they also do home care. If we have somebody who has had 2 knee replacements, isn't very mobile, they can't clean their house. So we have a worker go in, they'll help them clean the house. And that helps in a number of different areas. Obviously, first of all, just health-wise, to have a clean home would be good. And I think just self-esteem. We have a lot of our elderly want to keep their home clean and they can't. This assists them in doing that. And usually those people come in once or twice a week. It depends on the needs of the individual. We talked about congregate meals, home delivered meals, obviously. That's pretty self-explanatory. Again, that's throughout the county. We have right now 7 or 8 routes. It changes daily. 7 or 8 routes.
Do you still have that house in Palatine or the kitchen? Or?
Yes. We have a kitchen in Palatine, yeah.
So what do you contract that out, or?
We deliver from there to the different sites throughout the county, and we have a 2-hour window to deliver the meal from the time that it's.
So when they prep, is that contracted prep at your facility?
It's contracted. Trinity prepares the meal at our facility, yes. And they pay. We get rent and expenses to keep the upkeep of that facility through Trinity. CSE is a state program, and in that we get INA, which is the information system, and some of the home delivered meals. The CSE is kind of like a catch-all state program. We can use funds for different areas. CSI is primarily used for information and assistance, another state program. ISIP is the home care that we talked about. And then caregiver services is caregiver respite. We have a lot of individuals in our county that have a spouse or a daughter or a son that cares for them 24/7. They might be homebound, wheelchair bound, where they can't get out, and that person cares for them 24/7. We have a person that can come in anywhere from a few hours up to 20 hours a week, depending on what the needs are, depending on what our budget looks like. They come and give that person respite, a way to get out of the house. They'll go out, play a round of golf, go play poker with friends, go see a movie. It gives them that break, that mental health break, that relief for that little bit of time, knowing that the person that they care for is being taken care of, and they don't have to worry about it. Typically, they wouldn't be able to do that because they might be afraid. Say you're caring for your grandmother who has Alzheimer's. You can't leave her home because she might burn the house down. If you have a respite worker, they're going to go in there and they're going to work with your grandmother and make sure that she's taken care of just as well, if not better, than when you were there. 3D is a wellness program. We have a Silver Sneakers program, that exercise program through Inman that we contract with them. And it's also used for information and assistance about wellness that we distribute in the community. It's a very small program. And SNAP is the state portion of the home delivered meals. And then we have some administrative and unrestricted funds that we use, and that gives you the total. Is there any other questions? I know I went through it quick, but in a nutshell, that's what we do. I mean, we keep busy. We are always looking, we're trying to increase our fundraising, because that, again, we use that, that's unrestricted, we can use that as match. Any funds that we bring in, we try to leverage, as you're saying, to get the most bang for our buck.
Yeah, Bill.
On the home care, is that available to all, or does that only fit the needs of certain people that may be handicapped? I'm just looking at a pretty large amount of money for this.
There's an assessment that they do, and there's level 1 and level 2, depending on, I think I want to say there's 8 or 9 different areas that they do an assessment on. And depending on how many areas that they need help in or need assistance, they would go from a level 1 to a level 2. But it depends. But anybody who needs any type of care, we have some people that just get housekeeping. They don't need anybody helping them shower or anything like that. They just need somebody. I need somebody to come in and clean out my refrigerator once a week, or sweep my floors. I can't do that. But it depends. They go out and do an assessment, and from that they determine and work out with the family and the provider. We have 4 different subcontractors that we use, and we match them up with a caregiver or a home care person. So.
And you're happy with that? I mean, you feel that service is
Oh,
providing a very...
yes. If you ever talk to the seniors that get the service, they absolutely love it. And a lot of them, again, it's about keeping them in their home with dignity, so that they can function. And if we can put that little bit of service in there and make their life a little better, that's kind of what we do. So.
Okay, Bill?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we once we were once given like a census of the different programs that you run, and how many utilize those.
Okay.
Do you still keep something similar to that?
Yeah, we'll actually we have our community breakfast next week, and in that we always have a breakdown of the different programs that we have, how many people actually utilize each of the services. I believe I have a form that it isn't finalized, the numbers aren't final, but in a nutshell, it kind of shows you the different numbers and unduplicated for people that got the service. Like home delivered meals, 329. This is from, this is the other year, this year. Home delivered meals, 242. We served 60,178 meals. So yeah, we track that. We have reporting that's due quarterly through the state that Jason and Mary Ellen, our assistant business manager, they work out the units, and they work out how many people that we served. We do things like nutrition counseling and nutrition education with our dietitian. Legal assistance, we served 190 people last year, and Dell's only with us a half a day a week. So he serves a lot of people in that short amount of time, and for a very economical price. Of course, it's free through us. We ask for donations if possible, but he only charges us $25 an hour. If anybody went to see a lawyer recently, it's not $25 an hour by any chance. Any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, and caregiver services is a smaller program. They serve 26 people. Some of these programs people are on for a while. I mean, you got to think about it. If somebody's wheelchair bound, homebound, and we're putting in-home services to help them with personal care, we're not leaving anytime soon. We're going to do that until either somebody in the family can take over, or they get so bad where they're not safe in their home. But first thing we always look at is, are there family members that can do what we're doing, or friends, something like that. We always want to look at that avenue first, because again, we have a wait list. We want to serve the people that are at most risk for the services that are going to keep them in their home. So it isn't, I tell everybody, like we talked about the meals, it isn't, oh, I've been on the meals list 9 months and my neighbor got it and they've only been on it 6 months. Well, maybe your neighbor had major surgery and it isn't mobile at all, whereas you have a son that lives down the street that could give you a meal. And for us, that makes the most sense. It would be immoral for us to say, oh, this other person, just because they've been here longer, they get it. Then what happens, a month or two later when that person ends up in a nursing home because we couldn't give them a meal. When if we had done that, we could have kept them out of the nursing home.
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
anyone got?
Excellent.
Huh?
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
Herb?
Do you have a list of where all these take care of places? Like what's in St. Johnsville, what's in Minden, what's in...
As far as I talked about the congregate meal
Your
sites.
meals and-
Yeah, and I mean, again, the in-home care is in people's homes, so we'll serve them anywhere in the county. The meal sites, we have one in St. Johnsville, we have one at Arkell Hall in Canajoharie,
Yeah.
we have one at the Inman Center, and we have one at the High Rise in Amsterdam. And, you know, so some are attended better than others.
People come from like the town of Canajoharie into Arkell
Yep,
Hall?
yep, yep. The
That's
same
not
thing.
just for Arkell Hall?
Oh, no, no, it's for anybody, and again, if you're a senior, it's free. So we try to let people know, you know, if you want a hot meal,
Yeah.
under 60, we do have to charge. We obviously don't get reimbursed for that.
Right.
But yeah, there's 4 sites throughout the county. And if anybody's ever had our meal, we had our picnic in September, our senior picnic. We had 350 or so people there. It was well attended. Our meals provider did pulled pork. I don't think I had one bad comment about the meal. It was excellent. It was excellent. I mean, I would pay $8 for it. Let's put it that way. And I'm picking. So.
I know the town of Canajoharie budgets for Office of the Aging.
Yep.
Do other towns?
Yeah, we have some towns that do. I do a request. I sent out a request not too long ago. We have. I know there's definitely others. Not everyone, because I know they have small budgets, and sometimes town of Canajoharie is a little different because I think we have the kitchen right in Palatine. I think they feel there's kind of a connection there, and so they always give. But we certainly have other entities throughout the county that give every year as well. But yeah, we try to supplement our, again, that's money that we get that we can use for other things.
You send out letters to them too then?
Oh yeah, we send out letters to every town in the county. And just,
I know I did, not put it in the budget, but I mean...
City.
yeah, and this is actually right after I started last year. That was the first thing I did. I called all the town clerks, or maybe I might have called some of you guys and just said, oh, did you actually put it in your budget? Because I know your budgets get passed around December, late November, early December. So, you know, I know you passed the budget. Was there any chance of putting in the Office for Aging? And some people did, and some people couldn't. And we understand that. We'll take whatever we can get and use it to the best of our ability.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you very
If
much.
not,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, thank you, Don. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Okay, next we have soil and water. Corey? Same spiel I just gave the, you know,
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
I don't have to repeat it.
Don't get them going.
You guys always try to keep me toned down. We gave him like 20 minutes. I could eat that up in a second.
See what I give you? 20 minutes. Equal opportunity.
That's right. I mean, I feel like I'm kind of preaching to the choir. You guys know what I do, where I am, and what we're accomplishing out there. You know, Bill's on our board. I've been with for a year when he was on the highway department, you know. So I've been down in Amsterdam, industrial,
Yes, very much.
the Amsterdam industrial development, you know. So
Funding.
you know, this year I think we've had another banner year. I don't know. We just seem to have a lot of success at our office. You know, we took in $442,000 in state grants, just on the state grant side. Total project cost for all the stuff that we've gotten for 2013 is going to be around $990,000. So nearly $1 million is coming in, you know, and I always brag about that, bringing that money into the county because, you know, when I'm out there, we got Isaiah Watts, who just started out at Scott Ryan's farm. We got Elmer Field just finished a job up at Joe Keats. You know, we're $200,000 there, $100,000 there. We're doing a job over here, Salmon's farm. You know, we're going to spend probably another $150,000, $200,000. You know, so these small contractors, they come in there and do these projects for us. The money's coming right out of our, you know, all of our lumber mill, or lumber stores, or cement plants. So, you know, then we bring that in, it goes right straight out, and it really helps the farms, really helps everybody that we're working with. You know, this year we lost Craig, my technician, moved up to BOCES this year, so we're kind of struggling a little bit trying to keep things above water. Staff is always difficult, and I'm hoping we got a new guy in there. You know, I try to keep it around $100,000. This year I've asked for $104,400. You know, I hired technician, we've tried to increase the professionalism in our office. And, Bill's been working with us on that on a daily basis with AutoCAD, coming to computer-aided design. We're gonna try to get a total station this year, so everything is more professional when it leaves the office, get away from the hand drafting. So Craig, we sent him to school and trained him on that, and when Craig left, that was gonna be a big void. But I was able to secure another kid that had some engineering background. The problem is, he got a 4-year engineering degree, which dictates around a $40,000 salary to start, and I'm offering $32,000. So the reality is what happens when I get a kid like that, he got the background, he's working with AutoCAD today, he just started last Thursday. Really good with the programs, and he's got the surveying background. So, when I come to I always try to keep my budget low, and I always give a real budget, which I think is something that I've stressed every time I come in front of you guys. My budget numbers, I'm not banking, $50,000 a year in stockpiling money over there. You'll see our sheet go down pretty low, so I think, the last couple of years we've been pretty strong, but now with the retirement benefits and the insurance, our insurance went up 34% 2 years ago, and then it went up another 10% this year. Our retirement took another little bit of a jump. Not as bad as it has been, so I've been able to maintain our budget at the $100,000 level, and that seems to be working for us. So I always try to keep the stress off the county. Some of the other things that we're working with, we had the flooding in Fort Plain. I was able to take our big pump. We had the pump that we secured from SEMO last year. They let us keep it at our office now, so if we have an emergency. So, I was able to take the pump right up there and get that set up and work with the emergency management office to do those kind of things. We're pumping water from one pond to another right now on the farm, and then we're doing the emergency watershed protection program in the town of Amsterdam, and we're taking that pump over there. So it's really nice. I worked with Ag Markets and with the SEMO office to get that pump here in the county. They gave it to us broke. We had to spend $2,700 to get the thing over to work. Kind of the trouble that we've had with some of the SEMO equipment, but now we've got it. It's up. It's running. It's working really well. We're doing a mitigation project due to the flood and stuff. BeachNet gave us $80,000 a couple of years ago for mitigation money. And we had a project scheduled, then we had the flood in 2011, so the project was put on hold, and now we're able to use that money. Army Corps is letting us use that money to do some stream clean out in that spot Creek this year. So, it just happened to fall into place. The money was there. We got that project that needed to be done. We're doing that on Dave Kozowski. Probably about $50,000 in the cleaning out a very small segment of the stream. And there's some more issues upstream of the Asquato that we just can't. There's no funds. There's no public funds. There's no private funds. FEMA won't touch it. DOT won't touch it because it's pretty much just negatively affects pasture land or cropland. So, we're fighting a little bit of an uphill battle with those kind of things too. But we always have our AEM program, our Ag Environmental Management. We got Christine's hopefully this year going to become a certified planner. It takes about 2.5 years to get a planner through the system and get her certified. So I'm hoping that once she becomes certified, hopefully she's a long-term candidate. The last one became certified. Once they become certified, they're valuable. She took a $70,000 position, down in North Carolina. I can give her $36,000 to $40,000 here, and so I'm hoping Christine stays a little more local and that works out. But the AEM program, Ag Environmental Management, pretty much the crux of everything we do up there. That gives us the ability to go in and apply for these state grants, apply for our EQIP funds and federal grants. So that's pretty much everything.
Well, how's it gauged? I think because most people think that you just work on farms and you're drying up fields. So how does it work that they approach you?
Well, I have people come in the office all the time. A lot of people, they know, no matter where they are, they talk to a realtor, they tell them to come down to my office and get a soil map, get aerial maps. They all know that, and all the realtors know now they can send any farmer, any residential landowner down to my office, and I will measure out a piece of property, 4 acres, 5 acres, 7 acres, and give them approximate boundaries, and those kind of things. So we had an elderly woman on Hickory Hill Road came in, And she said, the farmer wants to buy my land, and they're offering me, $26,000. I said, geez, you got a beautiful building lot over here. She ended up selling the building lot for 46, and then they bought another piece of land off her for 30,000. She said, I feel kind of guilty. I said, well, what other retirement do you have? She's like, that's true, that's all I've got left. So people like that come in the office and get the services, and then I had another lady come in who's doing an estate. Same thing, I told her subdivide the property, take your wildlife acreage off, sell the farmland as a separate unit, So people just come in the office. I work with, I'd say half of the people that we work with are residential and not farmers. Whether it's a perk test, aerial photos, soils, maps, subdividing property, right to farm laws. Somebody had a complaint about one of the farmers spreading manure. Those kind of complaints, I drive we were right to his house the next morning, had a discussion with him on the right to farm laws and what farmers' rights what he can and can't do, and what his options as a residential landowner are. So I think we work really hard to get out there and work with anybody. That it really doesn't matter. And we're very well known in the county. I mean, everybody knows if they need something, they call us. I don't know how they all get my number.
Let's not forget economic development.
Well, that's the second part of the, I got Missy here with Ag Economic Development to go over some of the programs that she's working on here too. If you guys got any more questions about the individual programs that we're working on, I think it's very important. We always look to the county for our primary support structure, income-wise, And we, like I said, when I started in '97, I doubled and tripled our budget, but I didn't add any encumbrance on the county, so double and triple on our budget. Now we got a $500,000 budget, and I get $100,000 from the county to operate that office.
Do you charge for any of your services?
We do not charge for any of our services. A lot of districts have seen.
Mapping, anything?
I don't charge anybody for any of the service that we provide. A lot of the districts have done that. If you want to get a pond laid out, if it's not a farm, they go out there and they charge them $40 an hour to go out and do pond investigation. Well, they charge them $300 to go out and do soil mapping and those kind of things. People come in the office and they're always amazed when they leave it. You pay your county taxes. You're getting a service out of this office. So I always, when I get employees, I always tell the employees, I say, we're a service organization. Our job is to provide a service to the county and the residents of the county. So I don't. We used to charge, $1 if somebody off the street came in and wanted a map, or $2 if they wanted a color map. And really it's a waste of our time to do those kind of things. We really are a service organization. I think a lot of agencies forget they're here to provide a service. So I think it's one of the things I stress with my employees probably the most.
Do you handle perk tests for
Anybody in the county. Anybody in the county.
anyone in the county?
They call my
They charge
office.
for those.
Huh?
They charge for those.
We charge $125 for the perk test. We deliver fish and we charge people for the fish. I make money when we deliver fish to a pond. We have a tree program, so I sell trees and shrubs. So we earn, $8,000 or $9,000 selling trees. I earn $3,000 or $4,000 selling fish. We have a culvert program, we sell tile and pipe, and that's mainly to our agricultural landowners, but they need to buy the materials, they come and buy it at the office here, and that helps supplement our income. We own the building, so we rent out to the federal government. Hopefully we get our rent, but we rent to the federal government, so we make money on the rental of our office. We call it earned income program, so there are programs that we do, something about the perk test, that's a separate item, it's for their septic system, but anybody can call me. We used to have a contract with the town itself, and then charge the landowner, but now, we started in '91 or '92, now people just come in and knock on the door and we go do a perk test. We still send a copy of the perk test results to the town, codes officer, and the landowner, so, we make that round.
Okay, anyone got any questions?
Thanks.
And Missy, I assume you all know Missy Sue.
Give it to us straight.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Missy Potter. I do the Ag Economic Development out of Corey's office. And I'll just give you a quick thing about what has been done in the past with this program last year. I worked really hard in the year before that with the yogurt, Faye and Chobani, set up meetings between farmers and the owners of both places, the main guys. And I'd say from Chobani, we ended up, few of the farms are using whey on their farms as feed, and then spreading it as nutrients on their ground. Others, by nothing really became of that. In order to ship milk to them, you have to create a co-op, and it's a big deal. So farmers, I'm sure, are still looking into those things, and I'm there to help them if they need to set up another meeting or what have you. But my main goal is connecting the farmers with these guys that, the plants. Another thing, a farmer came to us or to me about wanting to get a grant, for their farm they're going to expand. We put a application in for 1.7 million for this farm, for this project. We made it all the way to the end, and we were pretty excited. I got excited too soon because we ended up not getting the funds. But with that, we went against some pretty big guys. We went against Farm Credit. We went against quite a few bigger companies who were lucky to make it to the end. And the guy who was in charge of it from Ag and Markets called and said he'd like to sit down with us and talk about it. He was pretty excited about what we had put in. We put in for it again this year, and now we're going to end up going another route. We're going directly to Ag and Markets, and we're going to ask for money for a revolving loan fund for all of ag producers. So, the ag producers, it's hard because there's a revolving loan fund already in place here through economic development. But you have to show that you're creating a job. For a lot of farms, that's really hard to do, to show that they're going to put another guy on. It's just, they just can't, they can't financially do it. So we're hoping.
Expand, but yet they don't want to.
Right, they're hoping to become more efficient and not have to, so. Anyways, another thing, we just contracted with OFA, with the kitchen in Palatine, where that'll be open to us, to farmers to use, to make their product to be able to sell. So we just did that. We're hoping to do an open house shortly. Actually, I just talked to Dave today about that. So we should be doing an open house on that. That'll hopefully give somebody an avenue. There aren't any other kitchens in the area that I know of. People were traveling to Cobleskill, but as far as I know, I'm not sure if that's even open anymore at the college. So this will be right here for all of our farmers in this area to be able to use. We're still doing the farmers markets through the winter. That there's not too many farmers markets in the area that are still going in the wintertime. We have about 17 vendors who stay with us every year and do this every year, or more sometimes. And I already talked about, I got in contact when the flood happened with probably, I'd say there's four or five farmers who I got in contact with them about the New York State flood relief. And as far as I know, all of them have gotten the money, and they got more than what they asked for, which is good because we had some guys who lost a lot of feed, lost a lot of ground, that kind of thing. And then just the other day, I did 2 farm tours this year, and one was just the other day with the senators. I think a bunch of their staff members and themselves showed up, and I think there were 40 or so of them. Took them to Glenview Dairy out in Fultonville, Palatine Cheese, and it was really good turnout. They were very interested in what was going on the farm, so it was good. Do you guys have any questions?
I'm impressed.
She really does more than she was able to.
Really, I'm really impressed with it.
Any questions?
I have a question. You got 100, well, I should be You got 104.4, it's down to 100. Can you live with 104.4?
I live with 140, I asked for 140.
Right, he brought it to 100, so there's $4,400 difference.
Oh, well,
But I'm saying can you live with 104? You're satisfied?
I survived.
Well, of course you
every
want
day,
a
you know.
million, but if you take 100.
You know, like I said, I try to keep my expenses minimal, try to keep my budget a real number. So when I put a number on the paper, I'm pretty confident that's where I kind of need to be. You know, so I paid 104 last year, I asked for 92, I think. And then I came back and I got my bill for the retirement was $6,000 more than they anticipated.
That's what the difference is.
No calls, no comments, they just came in and gave me a bill for $6,000 more, so, you know, just before the budget that came, I got that bill, and it looks like I need another $6,000.
They gave you 98.
Right. So, you know, I got the 98, so I would have no qualms coming to the county in the middle of the year and saying, looks like, you know, I'm gonna need money, but I have never had to do that. I always, if I get $100,000 from the county, I try to live within the means of what they give us. You know, unfortunately, I have no control over retirement and my insurance costs and, you know, in personnel costs. And we've been lucky with our technicians. John was with me for 13 years. He didn't take health insurance. And then Craig I hired, and he'd been with me for 3 years, and he didn't take health insurance. You know, now I just hired a new guy, and he's young. He's 26 years old, 27 years old. You know, he's most likely going to be taking health insurance. You know, so I got another $10,000 shot on top of his salary. So, you know, I did not have that in my proposed budget because I didn't anticipate Craig leaving, but I do know that my benefits are going to go up with the hire a new person.
Plus the feds always are cutting their space, so he's losing rent money as well. Everybody's taking money away from him. Nobody's giving him money for him. He's got to come here.
Well, we used to do a cooperative working agreement. We've done it every year with NRCS, and we're able to get $10,000 to $15,000 to do NRCS work. This year, NRCS, USDA did not offer us cooperative working agreement, so we have the AEM program. So we're doing all our work on the AEM. I get $75,000 from the state. My work qualifies for AEM, but I'll run out of $75,000 probably around the end of December, beginning of January. You know, so that money's just not going to come in this year. But I knew that going in last year, so I tried to plan my budget accordingly. And I think we maintain a strong house there. I think, you know, I'm conservative, frugal, and
Could you tell the supervisors on a program cost? Typically, you're allowed to keep X amount of dollars for administration fees, and everything else goes out the door, out the window, so to speak. But what's that percentage in here?
it's not a particular percentage. I go over each job individually and decide how much time I'm going to have to put in there. And then, but we got I'd say $450,000 worth of grants in administrative money. I've probably kept about $16,000 or $17,000.
Probably did what?
Took about $16,000 or $17,000
You're
on the
way
administrative side. Well,
way beyond what they take.
well, we're not allowed a percentage. It's an hourly. So I have to estimate, you know, 300 hours of my time. They give us $39 an hour. So I estimate 300 hours for me, you know, 100 hours for my technician, 150 hours for my employees. You know, so it's not a cash cow for us to get the state grants in, because I don't use that money for staffing. All that money that I take in is going right to the farm. You know, so I don't know, there might be an opportunity. Maybe I'm too low, but I get $39 an hour. So the problem is, if I put 300 hours down, I only use 280 hours. I can't go get the rest of that money. So it's not really an administrative fee or percentage based. It's, you know, I got to tell them how many hours it's going to take me to design a project. And we have engineers in there, and I'm doing about $18,000 in engineering on these grants. And we just had an engineer a retired DEC engineer moved into Lakers Road and Town Roof, and I've secured his services, so now he's going to be working with us. So we got another guy in the county that's going to be, you know, making some money off this project as a private engineer. You know, so we try to keep things local. I love this. I love the fact this guy's here, and I can hire him, and he's a retired person doing a sheep farm. You know, so.
Okay,
Pretty good.
what's that?
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Very good.
thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
Oh, thanks.